Welcome to Notebook, a program of interest to the St. Lucie County community that features information about St. Lucie County schools. Guests include school district and community leaders with focus on children in our community.
Hello and welcome to another edition of Notebook, a show where we connect you, our viewers, with community organizations, district personnel, and other community officials throughout the Treasure Coast. And once again, we have a fun-filled afternoon with you today. We have lots of great information that we're going to be sharing with you. Our first half hour, we're going to be spending with individuals that are part of an exciting upcoming event in our community, and it's known as the Empty Bowls Project. And we can't wait to share all of the information with you to come and be a part of it and provide support. And this is a program that highlights the efforts of high school art students here in the St. Lucie County schools who share their talents to bring awareness to the needs, the hunger needs within our community that maybe a lot of people who are viewing our show maybe not even aware of. And to bring awareness to this issue in St. Lucie County is very valuable. And our second segment of the show, we're going to highlight the Young Eagles program. And this is supported by the Experimental Aircraft Association, and it's under the direction of Mr. Mike Ketchpaul. And it's an outstanding program and just a way for students to begin their first step of becoming a certified pilot. So I'm really anxious to hear about this as well today. So lots of great things are coming your way throughout the next hour. So let me begin by introducing our guests who will be sharing with us about the Empty Bowls Project. We're glad to have each of you here. Our guests include Heather Blackmore Gordon, who is the art teacher at Fort Pierce Central High School. And we're glad to have her and can't wait to hear all the different things that she's done to organize this amazing project. Serena Wesley, who is an art student at Fort Pierce Central High School, and anxious to hear all the things from a student's perspective that we get to hear about this program. And Ms. Krista Garofalo, and she's from the Treasure Coast Food Bank because this program is in conjunction with the Treasure Coast Food Bank. So thank you so much for all three of you being here to share with us today. Before we move further into the segment, just to find more specifically about what the Empty Bowls Project really is, I always like for the audience to get to know you a little bit more as professionals and as teachers and as students. So since we have a student here, which is great. But tell us a little bit about how you, kind of your journey as you've become an art teacher. Kind of just share with us a little bit how you ended in the position that you're in right now.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for having us, by the way. Well, I'm an art teacher at Fort Pierce Central High School. I teach creative photography. Last year I taught ceramics, and I jumped on board with Eileen DiTullio and her Empty Bowls project. And even though I'm not teaching ceramics, I fell in love with the project and the students and the community and everything. So she is retiring. So I've kind of inherited the program from her. So I'm super excited about it. So it's really great.
And how many years have you been at Central High School?
I have been at Central for almost 3 years.
Wow, very good.
Yes.
And where before that?
Miami-Dade County.
Miami-Dade?
I taught Miami for 9 or 10 years.
Wow. And then came north.
Yes, I decided to come north.
Yeah.
You have better weather.
Yeah, that's true.
Less traffic.
Yeah, I'm glad to have you. And Krista, share with us a little bit about how you came to this position with the Treasure Coast Food Bank.
Sure. Thank you again for having us.
Sure.
I've been with the food bank for about 5 years. Previous to that, I had worked for 2 different United Ways. One locally here, the St. Lucie County United Way, and one up in New Jersey, which is where I'm from. So getting to know a lot about the food bank by working with a funder such as United Way, I was able to learn a lot about what they do and how they do it. And when transitioning over to that organization, I had a really good feel for the mission and the innovation that they were trying to bring together in the community to help feed more people in need. And that's ultimately our mission, is to provide food and sometimes non-food items to individuals in our community that are struggling to put food on their table. So I've worked at a couple different types of nonprofit organizations. That's what my background is in. First doing marketing and fundraising, and now I'm more on the program side. So I help run a lot of the programs that receive all of the wonderful funding that we get from things like Empty Bowls Project and everything like that, working with all our child nutrition programs and our mobile outreach that we do. So it's nice. I came from the funding side and the marketing side, selling and letting people know this is what we do, and now I'm actually getting to do what we say that we do with the money, which is great. I get to see both sides of it.
Yeah, so you get to have that hands-on experience with the people that are actually doing the programs, which is great. It's kind of nice to see that side as well. Well, Serena, as a student, and we're so excited to have, because we don't always get to have the students on this particular show, so to highlight what a student is doing for the community, this is really huge, and for them to really take the ground and hit the ground running with trying to provide the needs for people in the community, it's very commendable. And you know, as a student especially, you know, the adults are always ready to hop right in there, but to give the kids that community service experience, it's life-changing. It really is. So we're glad that you're here with us today. So tell us a little bit of how did you get interested in art, and what maybe is your favorite area of art as you're finishing up your high school career?
Mostly definitely ceramics, and being able to be a part of something like this is really life-changing, of course, and it's just exciting to be able to do something like this.
Yeah. So do you like to paint, draw? The ceramics is probably your favorite?
Yeah.
What do you
And it includes like the painting that I like to do, so it works out with the glaze and everything, so it just combines one of my two favorite parts of art into one.
Very good. And when did you kind of start knowing that you were really interested in that element of school with being an art student? Did it start early?
It started pretty early with one of my art teachers in about 2nd grade.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. Well, we're anxious to hear kind of your part in this project. And I noticed the shirts. Yeah. We want to make sure that everybody gets a chance to see this, because you'll be finding out what these shirts mean and how you can get one for yourself. So we'll be talking about that here in just a bit. So some of our viewers may not be aware of the history. I know you had mentioned that Eileen DiTullio had started this, and this was something that was new to me as well. So when she sent me an email a few weeks ago, I was like, yes, let's get this on and let more people know about it. So Heather, if you can maybe share with us a little bit of the background and how Eileen kind of started with this and how long it's been around, that would be great.
Okay, this is the 8th year. It's an annual event that Eileen and a few other art teachers started, and then Eileen has just kind of kept it going. It's really a project that's done all over the United States. There is an Empty Bowls website, and you can see where all of the activities are all over the United States. But this is its 8th year. It's at the Fort Pierce Farmers Market, and elementary schools, middle schools, senior high schools, even John Carroll Private School, high school, all participates. So it's really a community effort between teachers, artists, and students. And this year, every year it changes, but this year there's going to be 1 or 2 community artists that are going to be donating bowls as well. So they will be on auction.
Very cool.
Yes.
So when someone from the community comes to the farmers market, what should they be looking for, and how much are the donations as a part of that program? Tell us a little bit about that.
There will be raffle tickets to purchase for the artist bowls, and usually one like exceptionally beautiful student bowl are auctioned off, so they'll buy a raffle ticket. Every bowl is $15. And is served with soup and a piece of bread, and everybody kind of sits around. It's really nice, you know. It's April in Fort Pierce, near the water. Everybody kind of eats and talks, and then they go home with this wonderful piece of art and this empty bowl to symbolize all the empty bowls that are in our community.
Very good. And Serena, as a student, I'm guessing that you're probably going to be helping man the booth where everything is, and with that really cool T-shirt.
Of course.
Tell us about the T-shirts and how much those cost, and will you be selling those, I'm guessing, at the farmers market?
Yes, we'll be selling them for $12.
Okay. And So with the t-shirts for $12, the bowls will be $15 each. And then who actually is creating the soup? Who's making the soup? Is somebody donating that, or the students making it? Tell us a little bit about that.
Fort Pierce Central High School, Miss Ash and her culinary students make a delicious soup and bread. And then also the original Tiki Hut restaurant donates soup as well. So there'll be at least 2 to choose from.
Wow.
Yes.
Very cool. We actually got a chance to eat one of the meals from Central High School. We had from their culinary arts and Treasure Coast. We've been kind of experiencing a lot of those high school culinary. Those kids are amazing.
They are.
And the food that they're creating, I mean, you felt like you're at an actual restaurant. It was that amazing. And I have to say, her bread is outstanding. So everybody was going back for seconds.
Yes.
So you get to the farmer's market, you're definitely going to want some of that soup and bread, because I know it's going to be fabulous. She does a really good job with that. So, Krista, when they're working on this project together, are you actually able to be part of the farmer's market? Do you get to be there with them for that event?
We usually have some staff out there on that day. The wonderful thing about this event is that the school and all of the teachers and the artists and the students, they've embraced it so much that they make it really easy for us to be involved. They do most of the work, obviously. They're the ones creating all of the bowls.
Yeah.
And they organize amongst themselves to help promote it throughout the schools to all the teachers and the students for participation. You know, we meet a couple of times per year just to kind of go over and make sure that, you know, everything is taken care of, that the logistics at the farmers market are, you know, kind of pre-planned, and, you know, we do some mailing to help encourage some sponsors that contribute usually every year. But it's a wonderful, we'll be out there that day and helping them with collecting money and filling in wherever needed. They usually have a wonderful group of students that take all of the shifts from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. so that we don't really need to bring that much staff out there. But we want to be out there because it's such a great event, and we have a lot of people that come by, and we want to be able to talk to them about the food bank. We have materials out there for people to learn a little bit more about our mission, but it's always good to have some staff people to answer any questions that people might have. So yeah, we're proud to be able to be out there with them and kind of help them in whatever they're doing, because it's a wonderful event to help us bring more food to people in need.
Right. And how many students are involved in this year's project?
Student artists, I would say almost 500.
Wow.
And then we have anywhere from, I'd say about 30 actually at the event. They do everything. They serve the soup, they wrap the bowls, they talk to people, you know, patrons, they collect the money. It's a project-based learning. Students do everything.
And have the students been working on their bowls since the beginning of the school year? Does that kind of start as, you know, when we hit the ground running at the beginning of the school year?
It depends on the teacher.
Yeah. And especially with the elementary, and I didn't realize that the elementary kids were involved too, which is wow. I know we've got select schools that have those kilns, which are very expensive to run and
operate.
And, I was going to say, and operate. And just the just the skills that you've got to have to really be able to make that all come together. You know, that's quite a project in itself, getting all of those through the kiln and glazed and, you know, everything like that. So Serena, kind of take us through the steps that you take when you're creating your bowl. Take us through from the beginning. How does it start? What do you start with, and how do you get to your end product?
Well, you always start with a block of clay, and it really depends on how you want to make it, whether you want to do it on the wheel or if you want to hand build it. I did mine on the wheel, and it's one of the easier ways.
Heather's smiling.
I can't imagine it would be.
In my opinion, it's a little easier. It's easier to get the circular shape of a normal bowl because you can actually just hold your hands and then it spins around in a circle, creating that shape. And then you go through and you wait for it to dry out. You fire it. And once it's fired, you get to pick your color. And usually you can do more colors. You don't want to really mix them because then that could be bad inside the kiln. But you can pick your own and you color it, or glaze it, I should say, and then it gets fired again, and then it's ready.
So how many times does it get fired?
It gets fired twice.
Twice. Wow. And you said what happens when the paints are mixed? So you said something inside the kiln. Take me through that.
It depends on the kind of glaze and where it comes from. Usually if they're the same brand, it's okay, but different brands have different chemicals and you don't know how they're going to react. It's always kind of a surprise when it comes out to see what color it's going to be. So you don't really want to like mix the different brands.
So not only are you really experiencing just the art side of it, you've got the science side of it that you're really experiencing. You know, again, you know, Heather and I are, I'm a performing arts teacher, so all of those elements that really come into play that combine with everything that we do in an arts classroom.
Absolutely.
We do it all. You know, the math, the
absolutely.
science, the social studies, the history, you know, the history behind different things. So it was neat to hear you say that just, you know, on your own, how important you've got to know what works with what, you know, so otherwise, you know, we're at a little bit of trouble. And as you were talking about the wheel, all I'm thinking about is if I was making mine, it would be the Leaning Tower of Pisa. You know, and it just kind of goes off its own. But yeah, that's neat. And thanks for taking us through the product.
Of course.
Because I don't think, you know, even in the performing arts, sometimes people don't realize how long it takes to get to the finished product. When, you know, mine's on a performance level, but yours is on a piece of art. And, you know, behind the scenes, all that preparation that it really takes to create a piece of artwork. And, you know, thanks for taking us through that. So do you guys have a goal that you're wanting, have you set a goal for yourselves as to how many you are wanting to sell for this year that we can help you reach that goal? Tell us about that, Heather.
Well, my monetary goal is at least $13,000, which is what we did last year, I believe. So I would, of course, be thrilled if we can overcome that and get to maybe more like $15,000. That would be wonderful. The community really comes out and supports us. We have some people that just come at the end and they're like, okay, well, what bowls didn't sell? I want those. And I'm just like, you just get chills because people really believe in this and really want to support not only our students and Treasure Coast Food Bank, but just everybody that's involved.
Right.
So, but I think we want to sell like every bowl.
Every bowl and every T-shirt.
Every bowl needs a home. And
You don't want to be that last bowl.
Right. Yeah.
That's true. We don't want to be the last bowl. We can't have anybody's bowl left over. Yeah, very good. And tell us what date you're actually going to be out at the farmers market. Share that with us.
Well, we'll be there at like 6:30 in the morning, so anybody want early risers, but no. It officially starts 7 to noon on Saturday, April 11th. So I hope everybody comes out and really supports us.
Yeah, and get a good day with weather and
It's beautiful.
Yeah,
it's beautiful.
And the farmers market, we were talking before the show opened that it's such a cool experience because there's so many things down there, and you could just spend a day just going from booth to booth, and you know, if you stop at every one, sometimes you don't get to all of them for the day. But great food, great produce, great soup. So we want to make sure that everybody gets to that.
And they're great supporters of ours throughout the year. They allow us to have a space there to promote the food bank and give out information and brochures, as well as collect any donations that people want to take every week, all year round. So they're very supportive of us.
Good. Have you had other opportunities to advertise this particular event as well, besides just here? What are other ways that people might be hearing about it?
I know there's information up on our website, so if you go to stophunger.org, you can find out more information about it. And I know that we're sending press releases out to local media, and I'm sure we'll be getting some reporters getting back to us about either running a story ahead of time, or last year I had the joy of being there at I think 3:30 or 4 o'clock in the morning because one of the news channels wanted to do a live feed for their morning show, and it was like these 3-minute segments every half hour or 20 minutes. So I would talk for about a minute or two, and then they'd go to break, and I'd be there. You know, I don't mind doing it. We'll do it again if somebody wants to be there to help promote the event that early. So we do get a lot of good response from local media in terms of this project because it combines art with you know, awareness for hunger, and it shows, you know, different groups of people coming together using their talents and using their passions to help people. So I think it's a really good story, and people really want to run with it. And Eileen, who was still involved this year, and last year, she's just sort of this driving force behind it. And people are always so interested in her energy and what she brings to it. So I think that helps too. And Heather's been amazing, and I know that she's going to do a great job carrying on the torch.
And that's what I get a chance to, because I work a lot with the performing arts people, and of course visual arts falls right with that. So, you know, when we're in meetings and I get to see just the enthusiasm and the love for what they do, and that you guys are so good at just bringing that love to the kids, and that's so rewarding. And you know, the lives that it really does change. You know, outside of the traditional classroom, you're connecting with kids in a way that no one else can connect. And when you've got a project like this, just tying it all together, what a great experience you're going to give these kids for a lifetime. You know, just like we said, you know, it really is a life-changing experience to be a part of something like this. And you had mentioned too the hunger issues around the Treasure Coast, and you know, sometimes I think it seems like people aren't quite aware of the hunger issues in our community and the seriousness of it. Can you share a little bit with us? Maybe, I don't know if you know statistics right off the top of your head, but as much as you are in marketing, I'm sure you come across it. But share with us really, where is our community as compared to some others maybe surrounding us, and the needs of what's here locally?
Well, the food insecurity need in our area is pretty great. It's greater, I think, than a lot of people realize. About 17% of the population on the Treasure Coast is food insecure, which means they're not sure where their next meal is coming from. And that's about 100,000 people. About half of those reside in St. Lucie County. So we do have a significant portion of the population that are struggling to put food on their table. They're struggling to balance out their household budgets. They're making decisions and trade-offs with different expenses on a regular basis. And our mission is to really make it so that those people don't have to make those decisions. They don't have to decide, should I buy food this week, or should I put gas in my car so I can keep going to work so I don't lose my job? You know, maybe I'll only buy some of the food that I need and have to figure out a way to supplement that, or do I pay for this medication? Because we're seeing those trade-offs throughout the Treasure Coast that people are making because they're either not making as much as they used to, they've been laid off, they haven't been able to find a job that provides them with the income level that they were used to. They're maybe getting 2 or 3 part-time jobs, but that's still not bringing them back to where they need to be. So our role in the community is to really fill that gap where they're struggling. And some of them, it's a temporary thing, and hopefully once they get back to work, you know, they won't need any of the services, but some of them it takes a little bit longer. It depends on their background, depends on their skill set. If they're working in a trade where there's not as much demand now, it's much harder for them to find a job. So it's, you know, do we move out of the area for where those jobs are? Do we stay here and get retrained? And we try to work out those things with a lot of our clients that we work with on a direct basis, to see what's the better option for them, and how can we get them back on their feet as quickly as possible. The statistics for households with children are even worse, because we have the general population, it's about 1 in 6 people are food insecure. Among children, it's 1 in 4. About 27% of the population in this area, about 33,000 children, are not sure where their next meal is coming from. So with all of those things in mind, that's why we do what we do in the community. That's why we're really grateful for things like the Empty Bowls Project and a lot of other things that we do in the community that help us bring in funds. Because the need is great, and we want to make people more aware of that need so that they can, you know, find something that they want to do to help us, have them participate, whether it's through their time and their talent, or, you know, if they don't really have the time to volunteer, they can make a donation. If they you know, have time to come down to our warehouse to help sort the food and kind of see what we're about on a more direct way. If financially they can't contribute, we love volunteers, and we are always looking for more of them. And then they can learn a little bit more about the need and then help spread the word. So
with the with this particular project, I know you've got so many different programs that this is going to support. Tell us a little bit about some of those especially geared more toward the kids, like the backpack program and some of those that the money from the Empty Bowls is going to be able to help support.
Yeah, thankfully the the funds that we get from them, it helps us support a variety of programs. But our child nutrition programs in particular are some of the ones that we know people are very interested in supporting. We have different types of programs that serve children on a weekly basis or on a monthly basis. And one of them is the backpack program, which we have in a lot of schools and also a lot of after-school programs. And that provides meals and snacks for a child for over the weekend or over a holiday break. And those are for children that qualify for free and reduced lunch, but won't have access to that food, obviously, over the weekend or when school is closed. We also have a program called our School Pantry Program, which allows those same kids on free and reduced lunch to access food in a pantry setting that's actually on the school campus. And so it's convenient for them to access that food. And that helps them if they are in need of food over holidays and weekends, but also their family is in need as well. The backpacks tend to have a lot of kid-friendly, child-serving size foods, and it's geared primarily toward that one child, whereas the school pantry, you can feed that child and their entire family, their siblings and parents. And then during the summer, when kids are out of school and obviously not accessing the free and reduced lunch program, we have a summer food service program, and that targets children that are on that free and reduced lunch that are not getting meals over the summer. And we have that at a variety of settings, faith-based organizations. We work with the Boys and Girls Clubs and a couple of different summer camp programs. So we're doing everything that we can really to try to reach children in as many ways as possible. We do it a lot through the schools in all the school districts. We have a great relationship with the St. Lucie County School District and work with them on a lot of different programs. And we're also in the process of starting an after-school snack and meal program. It's another program through the federal government, and that will allow us to provide snacks and supper meals for children during the school year. If they're in danger of going home that day and not having a meal that they're able to access, we can provide that through an after-school setting. And that's just another way for us to sort of reach those kids. And we're serving, through all of our child nutrition programs, about 7,000 to 10,000 children on a regular basis throughout all of our counties, whether it's through backpack, school pantry, summer feeding, and a lot of times just through our general pantries. Their parents are coming to our regular pantries and soup kitchens and accessing that food and obviously bringing it home and preparing it for them. So, we're always looking for more people to support our child nutrition programs. And the other thing that we also have that's pretty recent is our diaper pantry program. And that's for young mothers and young families that are struggling to put food on the table. And most people know diapers are expensive, wipes are expensive, formula is expensive. So we try to connect those people in need with those pantries that are providing those types of things to them as well.
Very good. Wow. And as you were talking, I'm just thinking about the number of students that are on free and reduced lunch just in our district. And some individual schools, it's up to 60 and 70% of the students in one particular school that are on free and reduced lunch. So that tells you the major need of the food need that's here in St. Lucie County alone, not just in the Treasure Coast. You're just thinking here in our little community. But we want to really encourage people to, if you can volunteer, like you said, or make donations, directly, since we have projects throughout the year, like the Empty Bowls project, but there, that provides just a hint of what is really needed from this community. Absolutely. So, when you can help make a difference, even if it's $1, what a difference $1 makes. And to really make sure that people are aware of those needs. So we'll make sure that we get that message out. So,
Thank you.
And as we're finishing up, this is such a great project, and I'm so glad that Eileen let me know about it, because I know you guys had done the show. I think she did the show last year. Share with us what's been the most rewarding part about being, from a teacher's perspective, the most rewarding part about being a part of this project.
I think the most rewarding part is seeing the students take ownership of it. Not only, you know, as an art teacher, just to see them working in material in some of these other schools too, elementary schools that don't have an art teacher, these students are working in clay. That's always beautiful to see. But to see them use art for such an incredible cause, and then to educate the students, I think it humbles them too. Students that do, you know, have a refrigerator full of food, I think really think about that,
Right.
and think about how lucky they are. So they really take ownership over it, and I think it enlightens them, and I hope that it leaves a lasting impression on them that they carry through their whole lives with. So I that's the most thing, to see that is really incredible.
Yeah, yeah. And Serena, from a student's perspective, you knew I was going to come to you next. From a student's perspective, what's been the most rewarding part about being and preparing for this project?
It's true, it does humble you as a person, but knowing that doing something that I love to do and having fun while I'm doing it can make such an impact on someone else's life is really great.
Yeah, and I will make sure, I will put it on my calendar, and I will be at the farmer's market on that day to come and see you. And we can always look for those t-shirts. Now, do you guys actually have a booth that says Empty Bowls so people can see it?
It's a huge banner.
Huge banner, okay.
Right by the water.
Yeah. So we want to make sure that nobody misses out when they go down, you know, what to look for. You know, because some people, you know, will kind of start and make their way around, and we want to make sure that they don't miss that booth. So we'll make sure that happens. So give us the date one more time and the time.
It's April 11th from 7 to noon.
7 to noon, okay, at the farmer's market. It's a great way to spend your Saturday. You can go and have a bowl of soup and some fabulous bread. I can't say that enough. And but most of all, to support just a fabulous cause in supporting the needs of St. Lucie County. And I just want to thank all three of you for being here and sharing this event with us. And I'm so excited that I'm going to get to be a part of it, and we'll share it with everyone we can and get that message out. So we're going to reach that goal and maybe even exceed it. So we're going to plan to beat the goal and exceed it, and we want every bowl sold, and we need every t-shirt sold.
Yes.
So come and join us on April 11th at the Farmers Market, and we'll see you soon. All right, and we're going to take a break, and when we come back, we're going to learn more about the Young Eagles program and turning your child into a certified pilot. We'll be right back.
Listen to me. I am captain of the track team. And if I'm late,
she doesn't really think she's going to get out of here, does she?
Be nice. She's new.
Hello, is anyone there? Ugh!
Wow. Even from our standards, you look awful.
Oh, sweetie, what happened?
Me? My friend Becky got to talk to this super cute boy, and I tried to act like I wasn't jealous, but I so totally was. And then out of nowhere, this concrete barrier just popped up. Maybe it was a semi.
You mean you were driving?
Yeah. I mean, I know the whole eyes on the road thing, but this was a super important text. Maybe you have to know, Becky.
Texting? Great.
But it was only like 5 seconds, and I'm a really, really fast texter, so it wasn't even a big deal. Actually, has she texted me back yet? Wow, I get like no bars in this place. I wonder if they have Wi-Fi here.
Well, welcome back to this new segment of Notebook, and we've got some great and exciting news about an upcoming program that's been around actually for a very long time. We're going to be finding out a little bit about the Young Eagles program that's here in St. Lucie County, and with me today is the director of the St. Lucie County program, and his name is Mike Ketchpaw. And we are glad to have you here with us today to share about this amazing program. And we were just talking before the show began that one of the girls that I work with across the desk from me, her son actually went through the program, and just has talked so much about how much he remembers that that flight and what an experience that was for him. So I'm anxious to have the viewers hear a little bit more about what's in store with the Young Eagles. So before we start that, can you tell us just a little bit about yourself? How did you become a pilot yourself? How old were you, and how did you get interested in it?
It all really began when I was a child. I didn't have the opportunity to be involved with the Young Eagles because it wasn't around back then.
Right.
But any time that I could get out to the airport just to watch airplanes, I did it.
Just in your blood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I became a pilot in 1983. And I flew different aircraft through flying clubs. And then 8 years ago, I bought an airplane just to have it to myself and to share with the kids.
Yeah, very good. And did you, are you actually at the St. Lucie County Airport is where your hub is, I guess, is that the right word for it, I guess?
Yeah, our chapter.
Chapter, yeah, there you go. You got to get that right lingo in there. But as a kid, in wanting to, were the opportunities when you were a kid as available as, you know, obviously there wasn't a Young Eagles type program, but back then were there associations that were already created when you were a kid?
Anything like that at all?
No.
The closest we came to even getting close to an airplane was one of our schoolmates. Her father was a airline pilot, and he took us out of the airport one day and gave us a tour of the airplane.
And that really gave you the bug, I'm sure.
That was it.
It was all over. Oh gosh. Well, I know in the information that you shared with me, just in the brochures and things, what a great opportunity this is for kids, kind of, and hit as that first step to becoming a certified pilot. So, can you tell us a little bit about how the Young Eagles program works and how parents would proceed in getting their child to be a part of that?
Yeah, the program started with the EAA. Now, EAA is Experimental Aircraft Association. That's how it was developed. It was designed to help individuals build airplanes. And it's evolved into such an organization now, it's all about pilots and what pilots can do for young people. And they, in 1992, they started the Young Eagles program as a national program. And then each chapter picked up the program. And since 1992, we've flown 1.9 million kids.
Wow.
And of that, that we know of, there's over 20,000 pilots that have come out of the Young Eagles program.
How about that?
And there's a lot more to aviation than just pilots.
Right.
There's all the associated fields with the pilots, airports, air traffic control, mechanics, and so there's a lot into aviation.
And those guys that have those sticks that get people in and out,
the ground crew, airport operations, and so on. So there's a lot to aviation other than just piloting.
Right.
Although we like the piloting part.
Yeah, that's the best part. Yeah. Now, when tell us the day that as you progress through the day with the kids on this Young Eagles program. What are the kids what does that day look like when they come and spend it with you?
Okay, we have a couple of things that we do. We have what we call a ground session, where we'll take them through a safety briefing, what they can do and what they shouldn't do when they're around airplanes. It's quite important. Then we tell them about airport and the airport operations, why there's so many taxiways and runways at the airport. Then we get into a little bit about weather and the aviation function of the airplane, what moving parts there are, and so on. And then we have a simulator in our clubhouse that we'll put them on that for a couple minutes. And it's a sophisticated simulator, so there's a lot to it. It's like almost
like really flying the plane.
Yeah. And then we'll pair them up with a pilot, and the pilot will take over and explain his particular aircraft and what he can expect to do with the pilot. Then they'll get in an airplane and go fly.
Now, do they actually get their hands on the gears themselves? Do they get to be as you know, in the cockpit with the pilot? Do they get to experience how it feels, or are they really just a passenger at this point?
No, it's up to the pilot and the student. If the student's comfortable and the pilot's comfortable, he'll let them control the aircraft a little bit.
Wow.
And we fly most of the time we'll fly out to the river after we leave the airport and fly south and go down to close to Port St. Lucie. And then once we head west and everybody's comfortable, then he can fly it from there. So they'll do some nice slow turns and banking and so on.
Yeah.
So they get
what a neat experience, and maybe even get a chance to fly over their house and see where their house is.
Yeah, we don't do any buzzing around.
No, I'm sure not. You probably get some complaints about that.
We'll let them look for their school area.
Sure.
Let them recognize US 1 and different streets. And if they can pick out their house, that's great.
Yeah. What a great experience. And how many students have you had the opportunity to take up yourself?
139.
139. Wow. And when you actually take them up, do they get to go through the flight check with you and walk through that whole situation? Because I know you do like a flight check and the safety check. Do they get to walk with you on that to see exactly what you do?
When we have scheduled events, we'll have volunteers that'll do that part, and then the pilots will just do the piloting.
Right.
Because if we get 50 kids or so, it's a pretty busy day for just the
Right.
pilot to do everything. So we'll have stations that we'll put the kids through in groups of 4 or 5 or so.
Gotcha. So when the Young Eagles program starts, so you would have a group of, like, do you set it up that you have specific days that parents can sign their child up to come, and then you might have a full class of students? How would parents, tell us how that works.
Yeah, we have a major event twice a year in the spring and fall. And then during the year, if there's youngsters that want to get involved with the program, they can call us and we can just line them up with a pilot. And at that time, the pilot can do the whole program for the individual.
Okay.
youngster.
And do you have a date that's coming up for the spring?
It will be
Spring
this
day?
month on the 28th.
28th. So March 28th.
March 28th.
March 28th is the big day. So we want to make sure that we'll make sure we come back to that here in just a second before we end. So March 28th is the next day. Share a couple of the things that the kids might be experiencing when you talk about the simulator. Tell us a little bit when they sit down what they're actually going to see and maybe experience. Does it give the kids scenarios to guide them through, or tell us how that simulator works?
Yeah, ours is kind of a sophisticated simulator. There's no motion to it, but it has all the controls on it that an airplane does. And there's 3 monitors that sit out in front. So you get almost a 3D view of what the airplane's doing that you're flying. And they can pick the type of airplane that they want to fly on the simulator, be it the Wright Flyer, the first airplane, or a Piper Cub, or a 747.
Wow. And
they can use different airports. We usually use the Fort Pierce Airport
as the takeoff and landing, or how about that? That's pretty neat to know that you could actually go into a simulation and be flying a huge jet if you want to, or as small as a Piper. So that's pretty cool. Now, how many hours to become a certified pilot, how many hours do you actually have to have logged?
40 hours.
40 hours.
Is the minimum. And minimum age is 16. They can start their pilot training before that, but they can't get their license until they're 16.
Just like driving a car. Yeah, good deal. And when they are part of, I know you've got a couple things that I'm going to ask you to share with us just once the students complete the Young Eagles program. What are some things maybe they're going to get to have as showing a completion of this program? So share that with us.
On the program that we do here in Fort Pierce, they'll get a certificate for them to keep, and it'll be signed by the pilot. And also they'll get a logbook. Now, all pilots keep a logbook of the time that they spent in the air and where they went, just so they have a record of their flying. Now we'll offer these to the completed pilot, junior pilot, and we'll fill it out for them. But in the logbook, there's a certificate that they can use, and they can take the certified ground school.
Let's pull it up just a little bit. There we go. So we're going to hold it there. There we go. So you can actually see that. So go ahead and tell us what this will provide.
Okay. They can go online with the instructions that are provided here and take a certified ground school online. And that's a $200 value that's paid for by the EAA.
Wow.
And on completion of the ground school, they can take their written test, and so that they can be ready for their instructions when they turn 16.
Right. And then once they go to get their certification and their license as a pilot, what kind of process do they have to go through to, how many hours do you have to have, or is it just you're up there with a certified pilot? How did you go through that process?
Yeah, it's a certified instructor, and they have a certain curriculum that they have to follow that's specified for the FAA. Federal Aviation.
Right.
And then it's up really to the instructor and the student pilot on how many actual hours that it takes for them to pass their final exam. Prior to that, they have to have physical, as all pilots do. We have to have physical every 2 years.
Right.
And once they complete that, then they do their solo and their final check ride, and they're a pilot.
So it's not like going and getting your license to drive a car, which is very simple with a simple little test. It's a very detailed
the curriculum
is tough.
You have to learn about aviation weather, aviation rules, which there's more rules coming every day.
I was going to say, yeah, it's kind of like when you're in school too. Things change daily. Yeah.
So the curriculum is it's kind of tough. You have to really be dedicated and study hard.
Right. And how long did it take you to actually complete your
42 hours.
42 hours. Yeah. Very good. And did you actually get your license here in Florida, or were you somewhere else?
No, I was in New Hampshire at the time.
New Hampshire.
And where we flew out of, it was Keene, New Hampshire. And the weather up there in the winter was kind of tough, so
right.
We had to learn a lot more about weather than we have to be concerned with down here.
Yeah, that's very true. You don't think about the winds and the cool air and the gusts and things like that, but I'm sure it's very challenging even in Florida to fly, often and obviously in certain weather, but and then there's is there a totally different certification to night fly? Sometimes I've heard that. Is there anything different about that?
Well, you learn that in your private pilot course. And in order to fly passengers at night, you have to practice at least 3 landings and takeoffs every year.
Every year?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So you really have to keep that certification up. And then once you get your license, how often do you have to go back to, do you have to do a recertification type of program?
Your
how does that work?
license is good for life.
Okay.
You have to have, like I said, a medical every 2 years. You have to go out with an instructor every 2 years, just to get to make sure the instructor is satisfied with your knowledge and you're able to
and your
fly
progress.
Yeah.
Right. So it's not an easy thing to be a pilot. That's a lot of work.
It's very satisfying.
It is. Yes.
When you finish your written exam and you go for your final check ride, they're both very fulfilling.
Yeah.
But it's a steady learning process also.
Right. Right. I remember in college, I grew up in Ohio, and in college, there was a young man that was working on, that I was in classes with, that was working on getting his pilot's license, and he ended up going into the service and becoming a pilot, and now he flies, I believe he flies for UPS maybe, but one of the large jets, and even in college, he was one of those, we used to tease him, but he could never get enough time in that plane. It was just, any time that he had free time, he wanted to fly, and that was just, it really was in his blood. I mean, he really...
That's the bug.
It really is. It really is. There's really truth behind that, and I'm sure even though he's in his 50s or close to 50 now, I'm sure it probably hasn't changed. The more
it stays with you for life.
It stays with you forever.
Yeah. Yeah, we've got 84 members in our chapter, and we've got retired airline pilots, retired military pilots, retired helicopter pilots, and then all the current guys that are still flying.
Yeah, and I know when we were talking before the show started, actually on the back of your brochure was a message from the chairman of the EAA, and that is, everybody knows him as Sully. And I actually told you even look like him a little bit. So, but I thought that was really neat that kids can actually see that, because I'm sure that a lot of parents especially would recognize Sully as, that pilot that performed that heroic act with, landing that plane on the Hudson River, and, just making a connection that, here's this gentleman and he's the chairman of this association, and, to be able to make some personal connection, sometimes
he's dedicated to flying, and now he wants to share it with young people.
Yeah.
So it's super for us.
And that, even after an event like that, again, like you said, it's so in your blood that it's so much a part of you, and it obviously means an awful lot to this gentleman, and and to be able to get that enthusiasm shared with kids, you know, to get that interest sparked. And, you know, I'm sure it doesn't take much. That one time in the cockpit would change a kid forever, I'm sure. So
yeah, just the small amount of time that we spend with them on the ground is nice. But when we come back in and taxi back in and they see their parents,
oh my gosh, yeah, I can only imagine. Because I know Trish, when she showed me Trevor's picture with you at the plane, and I think he's 18 now. I think he was maybe 10 or 11. I'll have to ask her, but just grinning from ear to ear, just in front of that plane, and you could tell that it just made his day. So yeah, just a life-changing experience. So tell us how, if a parent wants to get their child enrolled, tell us how they will go about. I know they have to do the registration. So tell us how a parent could do that and get that
during our event, they can just come out and fill out the information that we require at the event, or they can go online. Our national EAA chapter, or our national EAA website is www.eaa.org.
Okay.
Our local chapter is www.eaa908.org.
Right.
Or they can call me at any time on my phone.
Okay. And it's March 28th, correct? And give us the times for that particular date.
From 8 to 12.
Okay.
And the age requirements between 8 and 17.
8 and 17, all right, and from 8 to 12. And this is going to be a great event. I wish my son is already 21, hard to believe, but boy, I'll tell you what, if I would have known about this program, I know he would have had a bug in a moment and would have loved to have been a part of this program. And my daughter as well, but both of them are too old now. So, but knowing that there are opportunities for the kids, this is like a once-in-a-lifetime chance to be a part of something like this, you know, and knowing that there's a chapter here, right here in St. Lucie County is just a great opportunity for the kids, and we appreciate you.
We enjoy doing it.
Taking this up. It's a lot of work, and you know, organizing it and providing this opportunity for the kids, and just thanks for making a difference every day, because you know, when you're meeting with those kids, it's life-changing. So,
well, thank you for allowing us to spread the word.
No, I appreciate you being here so much. Thanks very much. Well, parents, we want to make sure that you get a chance to follow up on this great opportunity. If you have a child, boy or girl, that's interested in finding out a little bit more about what it is to maybe become a pilot and find out more about aviation just in general, contact them through the EAA, and you can get more information. And just remember that March 28th, correct?
Yes.
From 8 until noon, and it's at the St. Lucie County Airport, and I'm sure you can contact them through either one of those websites. And we also want to remind you too, don't forget the Empty Bowls project on April 11th at the Farmers Market from 8 in the morning until noon, and we want to make sure we sell all of those bowls and all of those t-shirts and make a difference in the lives of children and their families here in St. Lucie County. And we appreciate you being with us on this latest edition of Notebook, and we look forward to seeing you again. Have a great night.